This is that part where I think we're live now, even though it's like not saying we're live.
Purgatory.
Yeah, this is the moment though. Okay, now we're live. Now we are definitely live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 11th episode of I Heard They Stream Live. A what close. Okay, we got a chat. If you are around to chat, we will be checking that as we go. This is our 11th episode, Woj. We uh we took a minute. I think I owe you an apology publicly now because I have not put up our 10th episode. I took it down due to a technical glitch and I have not had a chance to reformat it and put it up. But it will be going up again. Apologies to people. Like someone actually wrote me that they were like, I'm listening to it and it just went dead mid thing. So that's my fault. I don't really know what I'm doing on this shit. Oh, I'm going to record this now on here. So if you're listening to this on a podcast version, we actually went live a couple minutes earlier. So you get this. This is like a edited down thing for the podcast. But anyway, everyone, thank you for listening and thank you for being here. Woj, how you doing?
Great, man. Just a little exhausted still coming off the Cold World weekend and stuff and like going back and straight into work like full force. But it was a mad hectic weekend, but it was all good.
It was like a an international tour weekend because you made it up to my part of the world.
Yeah, we made it up to Toronto. Uh it was really dope. Saw some people I haven't seen in a while and had some good food and some interesting semi meltdown moments within band members and things like that.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I guess
I
it's
mean,
like
like anything with Cold World, it's like funny meltdowns. Like it's, you know what I mean? It's like there's never anything too serious, and when it does get serious, it's like hilarious. You know what I mean?
there definitely should be a Cold World tour movie. Like that's like
Yeah.
so many boring bands make these tour movies where you're like, fuck, like I guess I'll watch this thing. And then but Cold World, it would be a lot of hilarity, a lot of fights,
Yeah.
physical and verbal.
Well, our friend from back home, Jude, flew up and joined us, and he's newly single, and he's a little older than me. He's like Dan's age. And just being in the van from Detroit to Toronto and hearing him tell all of his stories that I've heard already, and just watching my band members react to his stories, like it was just priceless. So it was it was great, man. It was a good weekend.
Well, I made it out to talk to you outside, but I unfortunately was pretty sick and
Yeah.
I'm still getting over it. Like to be honest with you, I had like this cold that has not gone away and is it's kind of knocked me out, but I'm glad I
Mm.
got to see you outdoors where it was safe and hopefully you didn't get sick from me or anyone else while you're up here.
I got a little something, but I anytime I travel, I come back with a little sniffle. So it wasn't you. If it was you, if it was what you have, it would be way worse. This is just like the baseline of what I always come back with, you know?
Yeah, like I don't know, mine's just been like a head cold, kind of my ears too, even now as I'm
Mm.
talking. Anyway, people don't want to hear about being sick. This is the last thing people listen to this podcast for is complaints about health.
I have this thing where like anytime any sort of entertainment starts talking about COVID, I just turn it off. I'm just like, I do not want to fucking hear about this. Like not like I'm a denier or anything like that, just more like this can't be my form of entertainment.
You know what? You know what's funny? It's funny you say that because I was listening to I listen to all the old Gilbert Godfrey podcasts over and over again as they keep putting them up in the feed.
Nice.
And I was listening to one where they were talking to two guys that were kind of writers had written books on horror movies, and one was talking about how horror movies were a reaction to the trauma of the First World War, and he kind of like theorizes that anytime there's sort of like this sort of mass trauma, in particular affecting America, Hollywood will react with like start
Mm,
putting out horror movies, and horror movies will be the reaction to it. But I was like thinking the exact same thing with COVID. I'm like, yeah, I don't think anyone wants to see any horror movie around that premise
yeah.
right now. Like it really is something where, yeah, like once again, not in any sort of denier kind of way, more in a, oh my gosh, that was like, oh my god, that was terrible. That was like
Yeah.
horrific, and I just don't, yeah, want to. I would never want to watch a horror movie with that premise, and you know, don't want to.
Even just about in like conversation, like if people are talking about like this generation are so fucked up from COVID, I'm like, yeah, maybe for some reason I don't want to hear it. It's like that. There's this like show on Netflix. It's like, uh, world's worst perfect neighbor or something like that, and it's like everybody's like, oh, you gotta watch it, it's good, and we put it on, and it's just like all police body cam footage of this like crazy nutcase woman who had like a black family next to her with like kids that played outside all the time, and she got nuts and like shot one of them, and I'm like,
Holy shit!
I don't want this isn't my entertainment for the night. I just worked all day. You know, I'm
I
not sitting down to be entertained by this.
I totally get, and I also at other times in my life engaged with true crime media.
I like true crime. Don't get me like that's the thing. Like, but when it's something that it's like just like just I don't know, too indicative of like the worst shit we're living through right now.
Yeah, there's
I'm
like a
like I don't
level.
want to be entertained by it.
There's a level of kind of like exploitation and just like I don't really want to, and it affects all the media I consume now. Like I'm really like in a very kind of weird, I don't really like cool movies anymore. At one point in
Mm.
my life I watched cool movies, but now even like that stuff I find too freaky, too I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to stuff we do like talking about. Music.
Okay.
We've kind of got to change. I don't know, you and I have been talking about doing this sort of change in format thing a little bit, where less, focused on the podcast in terms of, reviewing old episodes or talking about the other episodes and digging into them. We might still do that because I think some of my jumping off points will be kind of from the podcast still. But the new direction being more that you and I are going to kind of pick something from pop culture, underground pop culture, lesser known pop culture, whatever, to talk about, and kind of what we are doing with the sort of three things segment, which we will continue to do. But this will be a way of kind of like having the show be a little bit broader than always being dependent on who was the guest each and every week, because I know what some of these guests are not necessarily in your uh purview of stuff you want to listen to.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not even that. It's just like there's some of them it's like there's nothing to talk about. You know what I mean? Like they just kind of like, yeah, I heard Black Flag and
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
it's just
Well,
like
see, this is where we disagree, but that's why we've got the new format change, so we can talk about stuff we both really want to talk about. Uh but I guess like before we get into it, uh I guess I don't really have too much stuff that I've done. I guess I did. I went to that Jeff Cannonball wrestling benefit since we've recorded an episode. So
Mhm.
that was a incredible experience. Interspecies wrestling put on event and it was a yeah, just like a really cool kind of mini reunion for me of sorts, because I got a chance to see a lot of people I haven't seen since we shot that original Tournament of Death documentary with Jeff Cannonball in it, and and then a bunch of other great wrestlers from kind of the area, and it was a really fun time. I had a really good experience, and money was raised for a great cause. Jeff Cannonball, as I'm sure many of you know, is someone dealing with ALS right now, and There's a bunch of great benefits going on in different places to kind of raise money for his family. So you can follow Jeff Cannonball on Instagram, and he'll be kept abreast of all these sorts of things as they get posted, and lots of really cool wrestling community stuff. Like I really, that was the neat thing about it, is because like, sometimes I forget how awesome independent wrestling is. Like there's I think I get caught up sometimes in like, what I've, you know, don't necessarily like about wrestling, and I forget what I thought was really amazing about pro wrestling. And yeah, definitely the way this sort of community supports itself is really, really cool, and a lot like punk rock. And you know, and that's it. That's all I'm going to add for that. I don't think there's anything. I don't know if you've got anything to add to that.
Not really. Yeah, I mean, that's it's great that it was done well. Since then, has the Piss Jeans benefit show happened,
I
or is
think
that
that
this
was
weekend?
last weekend, but
Okay.
if not, yeah, it's in Philly, I guess, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, Piss Jeans is doing a benefit for Jeff too. Deep wrestling kind of connection, obviously, with that band. And yeah, that was a good experience getting to kind of go out there and met some Turn Out a Punk listeners, hung out with some Turn Out a Punk listeners, and talked about. I heard they stream live, some positive reviews for this thing, Woj. So we're gonna keep on trucking.
We need them.
We need them.
I need to hear that someone's listening.
Hello, is anybody there? Does anybody feel?
Yes.
I feel. Um, and then today I went with, last minute I got asked to go with my middle child Dorothy on a field trip to go to the MoCA, the Museum of Contemporary Art in Toronto, and they have an exhibit right now of this photographer Jeff Wall, who's I wasn't familiar, but that is probably because I'm obviously just concerned with this very narrow music genre that we know. With Jeff Wall's work prior to this, but he is a very well known photographer, and this was sort of like a celebration retrospective of work that he had done between the years 84 and 2023. And so it's interesting. It's like kind of a progression as technology's gone on, how he's kind of changed the way he prints these photographs. And there's these huge giant photos mounted on light boxes, right? And then there's some smaller ones too, and then some more abstract ones. But I guess what he does is these photos are meticulously staged, and like so there's actors involved, and there's sort of like everything involved in the composition of the photograph is placed by him, and he kind of like arranges it perfectly, and it takes a really long time to get these setups. Anyway, Woj, so I'm in this thing, I'm like going around looking at these photos, and then I find this photo at the very back of the exhibit called The Guitarist. And I'm looking at these kind of like hippie guitarists on the floor. And then there's just tons of graffiti on the wall and some flyers. And if I'm not shitting you, it is the most obscure Vancouver punk bands imaginable. Like mid 80s ones, like not like there's some DOA graffiti on the wall, but like, and there's some Black Flag graffiti, but it's like another kind of blues band, Shanghai Dogs, Spores, like these like super weird bands, SNFU, but like the album title of the first record and then a phone number written beside it.
Hmm.
It's really bizarre. And then a False Liberty flyer playing with Fratricide, which is the pre Brotherhood band,
Hmm. Hmm.
and pre Sun O. So I don't like, that's the thing, Woj. I don't go out looking for this stuff. It finds me.
That's like when I say that I don't believe in ghosts because I've never I need to see some evidence. People say, "Well, you're not open to it, you know.
Got to
You're
be
open
open
to
to it.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
open to it."
I see the punk rock ghosts everywhere.
Yeah. I would
All
never
over the
see that. I would never
I couldn't believe it. Like when I saw some of these bands being referenced on this graffiti, I'm like,
Mm.
this is just for me. I'm taking like little pictures, but I don't know the protocol about posting someone else's photography on Instagram, so I don't necessarily want to
Hmm. I
post
don't
this.
know.
But
I don't think there I would think that if there was something wrong with it, there'd be some kind of sign. But you said that it's like the photos are like planned out. So like, was the graffiti like fake? Like, was it a made up set or what?
That's what I'm wondering.
Okay.
The image is called The Guitarist, and the
Yeah.
photographer is called Jeff Wall. You can see it online.
Uh-huh.
It's out there. And yeah, like I'm like, did he write this graffiti? Does he is he the one with these connections?
Hmm.
And weirdly, I've been talking to someone in SNFU, so I'm gonna send them that phone number and try and find out if that's their number.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how it all got put together.
Huh.
But yeah, it was
That
a really
reminds me
cool.
of when I was calling the phone number in the Saves the Day demo for like a month.
You could call any of these people's phone numbers back then.
Yeah, I'm assuming it was like Chris's parents' house, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
I forget what I used to say when they'd answer, but I was calling.
it was cool. Like you could kind of call and talk to people in bands, and they would just talk to you on the phone.
I was calling on some Jerky Boys shit, you know.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I was probably like uh I believe I'm owed punitive damages or, fava
we
beans.
we used to prank call Chubby Fresh
Nice,
because
nice.
his phone number was in the First Integrity 7 inch.
I
Which
used to call people pretending I was Freddy Krueger and like I called Don Fury. I called Don Fury and I told him that me and some buddies, Jason and Leatherface and Pinhead are getting have a new band together called the Dream Warriors and we wanted to book some time. And he called me back and left a message. He was like, "Hey, I'm not sure if you were serious, but here's my schedule for the next month or two."
actually, you used to watch Trailer Park Boys, right?
Yeah, hell yeah.
You remember the what's the white rapper on there called? J Rock.
J-Rock, yeah.
So when I was a kid, J Rock used to have a TV show here called Jonovision, right? It was like a talk show for kids. Some 41 made their first TV appearance on their Battle of the Bands episode.
Mm.
They used to put up their phone number at the end of every episode and say, "Hey, if you have any guests, if you have any shows ideas, call us." And so we used to prank call and just leave someone else's name and phone number, your friend, and just like say the most horrific thing you can think of, like. And then they would call the person back and be like, "Hey, we're just reaching out about your message. We just want to know if you need help." And so one day I'm sitting at home and I get a call from Jonovision, her producer, and she's like, "Hey, I'm calling for Damien. I'm calling about your embarrassing fart problem or something like that." And I'm like, "No, no, that's just a friend probably fucking with me." And she's like, "Oh, okay. Well, would you want to come on the show anyway?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Like, I guess." And she's like, "We're doing an upcoming episode on teen reviews. Would you want to review this TV show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which has just
Whoa.
started airing, and Breaker High, which is what's that guy's name? That famous Canadian actor who's super handsome with blonde hair. He was in The Notebook.
Oh, dude, I'm terrible with actors and
Rachel
actresses.
Adams and fuck, what's his name? Anyway, he was on the show when he was like a little kid.
Okay.
And so,
Josh Hartnett. I'm just throwing one out
no,
there.
Josh Hartnett is not
That's
Canadian.
older, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think they're around probably the same age. No, no,
Uh,
you're right. Josh Hartnett is older. He's making a comeback right now. But
oh,
anyway,
really?
I'm I'm
Okay.
I'm I'm now very much distracted from where we were going. Anyway, so we're reviewing these TV shows, and so I get to the show, and it's like a I'm backstage, and they're like, "This is the guy. You guys are gonna actually have a debate because, like I said, I thought both those shows sucked. Sorry if you like those shows, but I thought they both sucked." Uh, um, they were like, like so I'm like, meet the guy who's like likes these shows, and he's like, "I don't want to talk to you till we get on air so I can save my anger for you." And I'm like, "Oh, sure, dude." Like, whatever. Anyway, so we go out there. It's super fun. It's like I got my friend to go on another segment, and we had a really good time. And then it gets to the end of the show, and Jono J Rock comes backstage to meet all the people that were on the panel. And I swear to God, Nick, he goes like this. He shakes everyone's hand, like, "Hey, Jono, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming." Looks me dead in the eye, goes like this, and then turns around and walks away. For those of you who are listening on an audio version, just like gives me a what's up and then just like walks away. Doesn't shake my hand or nothing. And then
That's
like
amazing.
3 or 4 years ago, there's this thing. I think Vice, maybe it's more like 10 years ago now, but Vice did an article about John Ovision, and no one hit me up for a story because like about it. So I made like a whole Twitter thing about it that Vice shared and about my experience being on the show, and it included that part with John O like just giving me the nod, or J Rock just giving me the nod. And he wrote me and he apologized. He's like, "Come on my podcast so I can apologize to you in person." And I'm like, "Oh, for sure, man. Like, yeah, let me know." And then he just never wrote me back.
Yeah,
Just
of
ghosted
course.
me. Fuck J
Huh?
Rock.
That's what he'd be like, huh?
Was that what he does on that show?
On Trailer Park Boys, after he'd say something, he'd be like, huh? Like kind of like a Master P type thing.
I've never made it through an episode.
What? Oh my
No, I couldn't.
God.
I
Oh
couldn't.
my God, it's so funny.
I couldn't even. Oh, anyway, let's move on to share things in a second. But that's my John Vision experience story with Craig calling him. I guess like for the new format for the show, diving on into it, we're each going to pick something that we're interested in pop culture,
hmm
and that we want to talk about with the other person. And I believe Woj, you still got yours from last week.
I mean, dude, like I think that this should be like our final episode of the original format because because Don DeVore
Oh
is
yeah,
such
let's
a
talk.
exciting episode that like we have to talk about it. Like,
I just actually confirmed an episode potentially next week that I don't want to say because I don't want to spoil it. That
mhm,
I think is going to blow your fucking mind. Like I think it's
okay,
going to be one where you're like, okay, we got to talk about this one too. Yeah,
yeah,
like I don't think it's off limits because I was going to want to talk about the
mhm.
Dawn episode and kind of the Ink and Dagger phenomena.
But
Um,
you know what? Like, it also is like a perfect like pairing with what I do want to talk about. If he wasn't on anyway, which was I think we discussed this on the phone.
yeah,
Hardlore's greatest hardcore band of the 90s bracket tournament. And
which
I
is
think
over now. I think there's a is there a confirmed winner?
yeah, I think Hatebreed is the winner.
Hatebreed won.
Yeah.
Which I'm not gonna. I know this will probably be a lot of people being like met with ire from people that listen to this podcast, but I'm not mad at that.
Mm.
Like if you're, I remember in a pre-Turnstile world, Hatebreed being the biggest band to emerge from hardcore, and like, yeah, I don't know, like I think there's certainly a band that reflects kind of the DIY basement scene, but also this like hyper aggressive commercial leaning scene that was also really part of the 90s story. Like that's when most bands signed to major labels in hardcore.
Yeah, I think they kind of like run the gamut of 90s hardcore, right? Like everybody from every little like pocket of the scene knew about them or liked them. Um, yeah, I'm not mad at them winning. Uh, but I have a lot of thoughts about that bracket and the bands listed and not listed. And I think you could tie my thoughts to the Don DeVore episode causing so much heat in your within your listenership and in the scene.
Yeah, I guess to bring everyone up to speed, the Dawn DeVore episode, which I love, and I had a great time doing it, but a lot of people have reached out and said it's their favorite episode. Like a few
hmm
people have written to say that specifically, but there's also been some people that have uh, met it with a little bit of ire, to say the least.
Yeah, he's a divisive dude. I think because he's for people that weren't around, like, I mean, I started going to shows in like 95, 96, so I caught like the tail end of the era of this type of fella being like the the typical 90s hardcore guy. But like I think like I think we talked about it before on here where like like the mid 90s, like New York hardcore was not the I don't know the baseline that it became in like the 2000s, it was almost like the obscure, like maybe even like poked fun of a little bit by like the hardcore du jour, like, and I think like Don kind of like explained it, like when he was like, basically like just anything that was like displaying like toughness or machismo or something was automatically out of the conversation. Like didn't count as like even being in those guys like view of what is acceptable in like progressive hardcore. You know what I mean? And I think that like, a lot of the guys that were like older than me that I knew in hardcore, like, and women in hardcore, like that's how they thought too, like anything that was tough or karate kick in and all that shit, like it was like made fun of by a big group of the scene. And like I think like once kind of hardcore like the hardcore at large made New York hardcore and tough guy style the kind of lay of the land, that whole section of the scene kind of got like written out of history to me, which is why, the biggest hardcore podcasts out now, like you look at this bracket here and like to me, like what I think of is like, like early and mid 90s biggest most popular hardcore bands aren't even on this list, because that stuff gets so written out of history. But I'm not dissing their bracket because ultimately it's like from their view, right? Like so from what I understand of it, it's like this is what they think are the best bands from the 90s. You know what I mean? So it's totally my list would be different and respect to those guys. And I talked to Colin and we talked about his list and stuff and and even him he was like, "Yo, the you think, you think it's crazy. Like the main thing I hear from people about this list is where's Zayo or Zao or whatever." And he's like, "What?" And I'm like,
Yeah, like I think if you were going to like do a true reflection of like what, see, it's so hard to do 90s hardcore. Like if you were, because I think like there's so many international scenes in
hmm
like micro manifestation, like the Bergen kind of metal core kind of stuff, or like British, like that, like the kind of like Leatherface kind of stuff that I love and all that. Like I feel like, but if you're going to do American, just American bands,
hmm
I think Zao would probably be on there if you're trying to like reflect like what was the biggest kind of Christian band back then, like Focal Point.
mm.
I remember being a band that people liked, but Zao seemed like a band that kind of crossed over.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what I my biggest issue is like there's no abolition bands on here.
Yeah, I can see that.
There's no like what was Scott Biben's Bloodlink? Like in from my memory, those were the biggest things. Like Heart Attack fanzine. Like none of these bands got you know what I mean? Like love from that portion of the scene, which to me was like kind of what was like setting the tone. Like you know what I mean? Like I understand like Victory was like bigger and stuff like that, but I don't know. Like when you go into like the average, if you just walk into the average VFW hall show in like 1996, people have like Downcast shirts and Los Crudos patches on their bag. They don't have Hatebreed and Marauder shirts. You know what I'm saying? Like, um,
I,
so I
I
think it's like very misguided.
well, I think it's just like reflection of what people's journey in this scene was, and I
hmm
feel like you're saying, like Downcast is a band that is lost the sands of time, but if you
Yeah.
talk to anyone from that era, they were the band. And
Yeah.
I love that band.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, even Struggle, like, dude, like, I think Struggle are
Yeah.
fucking amazing and like they're so influential in my opinion. I'm sure they weren't even, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to put any words in these dudes' mouths, but I'm sure they weren't even considered like looking at the bands on here. I don't know, but it's their list. But then like I'm looking at it now and like the write-in selections, Lifetime and 108 are write-ins, and I don't know, maybe this is like a regional thought, but dude, Lifetime and 108 to me were two of the most influential bands of the 90s. Like I don't know, maybe I'm tripping, but and then also like Bastard being on here, like
Yeah, like it's I
no
would
one knew what Bastard
no one
was.
knew Bastard.
No.
But it's crazy because like the person who was the biggest champion for Bastard is Simon Harvey,
Mm,
who also reissued the Modern Minds record. Um,
yeah.
that I featuring today's Gas Moberg on Turning a Punk. But yeah, Bastard was like just like I remember he was the guy that championed that band. There were obviously other people in the States too
Yeah,
championing
yeah.
that
I mean,
band,
there
but
was that like have you ever seen that weird comp called Stealing the Pocket?
hmm.
It's like a comp that has a lot of bands on it, but it has Frail and Deathside on it.
Whoa,
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I
it's a
want to
tape
say
comp.
no, it's a LP. And it's obviously, not an unreleased Death. It's not an exclusive Deathside song, but
Yeah,
and I want to say it came out of PA or Jersey. I'm not sure. I don't have one. Um,
I would
but
say Death Side would have been probably bigger than Bastard back then.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like maybe like people in that maybe like more like heavy DIY scene were the ones clued into that stuff, not the the heavy hardcore scene like the hate breeds and stuff like that. Like if anything like Japanese stuff they were clued in on like the beatdown stuff like Numb and shit like that. Um but yeah, I mean and then also like In My Eyes isn't on this list, which is really crazy.
Did I miss
Uh,
Integrity?
no,
No, Integrity's
Integrity's
on this
on.
one. Okay,
They're
yeah.
on here.
Okay, yeah, no, they're good. Okay. Yeah, like there's definitely like when I saw Stigmata and Blood for Blood play in Toronto to
Hmm.
five people,
Yeah, like
myself included.
yeah, like I saw both bands play in Nanny Coke. Dan Mills booked them at the West Side Park, and the shows were lit and stuff, but like it wasn't like fucking seeing Grade or you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
bands that were actually popular at that time. Um,
His Hero's Gone.
yeah, I know
Tragedy.
that's somebody that yeah, his hero's gone. I brought up a bunch talking about this with friends. Um, and then also like, dude, like,
Spaz.
yeah, Spaz. I mean, is AFI a hardcore band to you? They're not a hardcore band to me.
See, they're like they would describe themselves as a hardcore band,
Yeah,
and Davey's role in he denies this, but like I've heard that he was the first guy to bring like
hard
hard
dancing.
hard pitting to the West Coast, and he denies
Okay.
it.
Uh,
But like I mean not to the West Coast, but I mean to sorry the Bay Area.
no, I believe he's a hardcore dude, but
They are on a
I don't know.
Pushead compilation,
Yeah, yeah,
and they do
yeah.
Negative Approach covers.
But I'll back that up with I'm saying also I don't think Life of Agony or Biohazard belong on this list.
Yeah, like I definitely feel like Biohazard does not belong on this list. Like
Yeah.
they were hardcore for a hot minute, but like I don't think
I'm saying they weren't even.
but maybe like regionally, like in New York, like where that they were like, demo era when they were
Hmm.
super sketchy. Like
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. To me, like Biohazard and Life of Agony, yeah, they have hardcore roots, like heavy, like undeniable, and I love both of those bands, like in a lot,
yeah, yeah,
and even in the 90s, obviously, and they're to me they're just crossover bands.
yeah, yeah,
They're just 90. So like, can you put Helmet in here? Can you put Unsane in here? Like, to
yeah,
me, they're the same as that. They were more like urban, of course, because they were from Brooklyn. But I don't know. To me, they don't belong in here. I'm not
I,
mad at it, but if I was going through, I would take them out.
yeah. And I saw Trial, and they were sick when I saw them at the Gilman one time.
Hmm.
But like I would not put Trial in here. I would like
No.
if I'm being honest, if like for that era, if I was putting a band that like Boy Sets Fire,
Yeah.
like no one wants to admit that
Hmm.
now, but that in hardcore for like a hot minute was like, or Ignite too. Ignite,
I know. I
like,
was wondering why they don't have Ignite in here. I mean, I'm not a huge Ignite fan or anything, but just if they're putting AFI in here, they're not putting Ignite. And like,
yeah,
I don't know, there's like almost no like early 90s new age kind of, I mean, I guess Strife and Unbroken, but like, I don't know, like Outspoken and or like initial stuff like Four Walls Falling and
or
uh,
Mouthpiece.
is Mouthpiece not on here?
I don't see them. Or maybe I missed it. My
Yeah, I
eyes are
don't,
so bad. I had to call up a version I could zoom in because I was like trying to make out some of the fonts, and I'm like, no, and I obviously realize this band is cool, and I get it, but Kickback, like,
dude, no one knew who
it
Kickback
was
were.
not, it was not
No. I mean,
like,
like Rick to Life had their stuff in his distro and stuff because he,
yeah,
but like, dude, they no, this is it's. But again, like this, I understand. Like this, I don't want them to get mad. Like I understand this
no,
list isn't like the biggest or the most influential hardcore bands in that time. I know that that's not what this list is supposed to be, but for some reason, I just can't stop myself from looking at it like that. You know what I mean? Like,
that's why I love this stuff, and that's like because it
yeah, yeah,
makes
yeah.
people like. That's why anytime like a magazine does like the best punk records ever thing, I like
Mhm.
devour it because like we're never gonna like there's no definitive list, right?
Yeah.
Like, and your and my list would be so different,
Oh yeah.
if
I
you
mean,
were come up with brackets.
yeah,
um
yeah.
I think from the point of view you're trying to say, like, who is like who were the 90s bands that were like defining the era, like,
Moving
I
the
th-
needle and like setting the precedents. And like one thing I said, I asked him like why Converge wasn't on here, and he said because they're like pivotal stuff they're known for is from I guess the 2000s to in his mind. But I totally disagree with that.
yeah,
Right? Like maybe
yeah,
if you weren't around then you might not know like how big they were and how like dude, they had like beatdown bands, like straight up switching genres.
yeah,
Like, look at One for One, bro. Like, One for One went from New York hardcore to fucking weirdo screamo metal with like, you know what I mean? Like, straight up, like, so many bands tried to be like Converge in the 90s. And to me, like, if they're saying like Jane Doe and after that, like, to me, that's when like they did their own thing outside of hardcore. They were still a hardcore band and played in the hardcore scene for sure, but like I don't know, to me that's when they became like a Boris or something like that, where they were like doing their own cool thing that like everybody's like, damn, that's
yeah, like
like dope.
Neurosis.
Yeah, exactly. Like starting their own lane, which,
Yeah,
but in the 90s, like they were like really setting trends in the scene. So in my opinion,
yeah,
that I don't know. And if anything, you could even say like that should might take Hatebreed out of here and put them in the 2000s kind of, right?
yeah. Well, I don't know, like Satisfaction is the Death of Desire to me was like that kind of was the, like, the record that defined the era and kind of ended the era. Like, was there a single victory record after that that was like, like, as impactful as that?
Yo, I
Like, in
agree.
obviously in other genres, but
I agree. I know what you mean, but I think, dude, I think people didn't like the height of people like sweating them and shit kind of came out in like the 2000s in my opinion,
yeah,
but
you're right. I kind of think No Warning, that No Warning opening for them
yeah.
was like, yeah, they were like, but it was almost like they turned into a different thing, obviously very different than Converge did, but like faster than Converge did, right? Where it was
Hmm.
almost like
Hmm.
a Hatebreed thing was like, it was almost crossing over to something else at that point
Yeah.
too. Like in the same way I wouldn't put Neurosis as a 90s band, because by the time the 90s rolled around, they were kind of like their own thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
And to me, their 80s is like they're more kind of like when they were having the impact on hardcore with everything they were doing.
Even still, like to me, they're hardcore, like how like they're like the 90s version of like Corrosion of Conformity to me.
I can see that.
Like they're more of crossover with punk hardcore roots. But I don't know. Like I said this to a couple people. I don't. If someone who I said this to is hearing this, I'm sorry to keep repeating myself, but watch a video of Marauder in 1995, and then watch a video of Los Crudos, and tell me who was fucking bigger.
Yeah,
You know?
Los Crudos definitely to me are, you know, and his hero's gone,
Yeah.
drop dead. Uh,
Yeah. Drop Dead.
like
Yeah.
the bands that could headline these fests and just like pack them out. But like you're saying,
Yeah.
the early '90s was slightly different too. Like the stuff, like California stuff. Like I'm trying to think. You're like you said the new age things, but I'm like, yeah, there's also like stuff a little bit further up too, and in Berkeley and stuff. It's yeah, I love this. It's very fun to kind of like try and figure out who does and doesn't fit, and that's like the best thing about this stuff is it creates conversation, makes people check out bands they might not want otherwise check out.
Yeah. But I also think like also Only Living Witness. People
Yeah,
didn't
it's
know who Only Living
no,
Witness were until the 2000s, dog. I'm sorry. I mean, I heard I knew who they were like in the 90s and stuff, but I don't think I even heard them. Like they weren't a fucking hardcore band. They weren't looked at as a hardcore band in the scene for sure. They were like a crossover band, like a typo, like trying to be like a typo negative or something like that, in my opinion. From what I was young then too, so like I was a little dumbass, but this is just kind of like how I remember seeing things, right? So I could be wrong, but
well, it's all like it's like a one of those everlasting gobstoppers, right? Like where there's
hmm
just like these layers that are kind of slightly different, and you know people's experiences with things are obviously going to be like I remember going around trying to get like the Brotherhood records and all these people being like, who the fuck cares about Brotherhood? Like, you know, back in the day, no one cared about Brotherhood when they played here, right? And I'm like, yeah, but it's like the best 7 inch from that era. So I totally understand that how that feels and that kind of energy where like your perspective changes so much, like if you weren't around for it, right? Like
hmm
at the time, or also where you were around for it too. You and me have a very kind of like northeast kind of bias to our that East Coast bitterness, as we talk about in an upcoming episode on Turning Up Punk.
Yeah, and I think like just like hearing like Don DeVore's insight and take on hardcore and how he views it, like I don't know, like I understand how like it could rub people the wrong way who kind of value and like view hardcore in this like hard Lorian view of like hard, like proper hardcore, you know, but like yeah, I don't know, man, like you know, the best shows in the 90s like didn't have moshing in them at all. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I just kind of think like that's what hardcore is missing now and why it fucking sucks is there's not that, you know, like he was saying, like rabble, they were rabble rousers, you know, like they were just like challenging everything. And, you know, you challenge everything now, you're, first of all, you're gonna fucking end up in the hospital. That's issue number one. Uh, but so I guess it's impossible to be like them now. But
They had like hard friends, right?
no, I mean,
Like in the scene they were playing in, like they were pulling this stuff at E Town Concrete shows.
dude, things are, from what I understand, like things were really pretty divided in Philly then. You know what I mean? Like there were like guys going to Mushmouth shows they never saw Ink and Dagger.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? There that's completely different. You know, like that's how it was in Wilkes-Barre too. You know what I mean? Like it crossed over a little bit here and there, but yeah, dude, watch a video of like fucking Crud is a cult. Like there's no moshing, there's no hard shit. It's like nerds and like horn rim glasses, like fucking,
yeah.
you know, like that shit. Like that was what was popping in at hardcore shows until, you know.
I think that was also the thing is because Frail were such a definitive band of the era before,
hmm
and the shift of alignments between Frail and Ink and Dagger, where it goes from like lawful good to
Chaotic
chaotic,
evil.
chaotic neutral at best. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it really like I know it threw a lot of people through a loop. I certainly had like friends that went. I bring it up in the episode that went
Mhm.
down and hung out and were like, these guys are fucking terrifying. Like they're really really scary.
I don't know. I mean, I think like maybe it was like a regional thing because like the mischievous kind of shit was like pretty prevalent in the scene, like even in like the non-tough guy scene. I don't know. So like yeah, I know what you mean, but
But it wasn't like the Cleveland thing. Like Cleveland was like known for like fireworks
yeah, yeah.
and Toronto definitely aped that like really hard, and like the idea of like Left 4 Dead, like throwing chairs at the audience and like
Hmm.
beating up people in the crowd was like definitely like part of the like
Yeah.
DIY experience here for shows.
I think
But
the Philly vibe and the Philly area vibe was just more
scary, like really scary for some of these people, right? Like some of these bands were like not necessarily even Ink and Dagger, but like there are bands that like were like seemed fun on the surface, but were like terrifying when you really like dove into what was going on.
yeah, maybe, but like I said, I think there was a pretty deep line in the sand between those two scenes. Um, I think like the Ink and Dagger side of that line in the sand, it was just more like pretentiousness in like a cool way and using it as a weapon. You know what I'm saying? And like that's almost like what Ink and Dagger was, right? Like just kind of like this like yeah, I don't know. I don't really even know. I'm too stupid to. I couldn't roll with these dudes probably because I'm not smart enough. So I don't even know how to put it into words. I'm just like remember them doing shit and I was younger and just being like, damn, these guys are like on to something that I don't know about yet. Or you know what I mean? Like just from what I understand, like they were the early guys like following, shoegaze and you know weird, indie music from outside of hardcore and the getting into drum and bass and going to raves and shit like that. Like, that's dope, man.
Yeah, I
You
feel
know.
like that was also kind of like the archetype of the post youth crew kind of person, right? The post like,
But this was before that, right?
but like unbroken,
Oh, 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 oh.
guys too, getting into that stuff, or I guess it would have been probably around the same time up here that there's like it's the beginning of what would ultimately become kind of I guess like the hip kind of hipster thing of the early
Yeah.
2000s, right? But
Yeah.
like I feel like there was just like a movement towards people kind of like getting into I guess because so many hardcore kids are like in record stores all the time, right? Like it just breeds getting into more kind of diverse stuff.
Yeah. And dude, I love Agnostic. I actually don't love Agnostic Front as much as the next guy, but I love Agnostic Front, and I understand. Uh,
You don't think Victim in Pain is like one of the greatest hardcore records of all time?
it's probably the greatest hardcore
Okay,
record of
yeah,
all
yeah,
time, but not everyone is comfortable with just recreating that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And like I like that, like I don't care about someone who went to college's recreation of Victim in Pain. I hate their recreation of Victim in Pain. It fucking sucks. You know what I mean? I hate that, if you and that's what I think the problem is with hardcore now. Like not now, for the last like fucking 20 years, like Cold World included. You know? It's just like it's too much cosplay and it's not enough fucking progression and I think like that's what Don and Sean and those guys were all about, and I think it like pushes people's buttons, and I also don't totally agree with all of their tastes and their takes either. You know what I mean? Like Don says, he never understood, like he never cared about like the Killing Time LP, like, or he's like, those guys doing karate in New Jersey, like, which is fucking hilarious. I love that he said that. But I love watching a fucking bulldoze at fucking Studio One video and seeing Stickman doing karate. You know what I mean? And I think like when you said to him, you were like, yeah, but like, that stuff is kind of like the opposite end where it's almost like street rock and roll, like their view of things. I could tell like he hasn't thought of that in a while because he's like, huh. Like he actually had like a fucking visceral, really quick split-second reaction to that. You know what I mean? And he's so deep into his shtick, not shtick because it's really what he believes, but like this his view that he never like thought like to like, man, maybe there's like something really dope about Marauder if I look back on it. And you know what I mean? Because there is like the fucking dude, the Marauder lyrics are Marauder is fucking amazing. You know what I mean? But you have to like kind of like, like
That's
because
what
yeah.
that's what I love about punk, and that's what I've always, it's like I want an honest reflection of the person's experience and mindset.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I like. I think that's when it's at its best, when you have,
Hmm.
and that could be like whatever that is. That can be someone trying to be highfalutin, or it can be someone just kind of like singing about their reality. But like, I don't know. I think that's what I'm always like looking for in this stuff, and I feel like, yeah, like I think there's also though a little bit of a like a regional bias with Ink and Dagger in you, because like I feel like
Hmm.
beyond the first beyond the first 7 inch, I feel like there were a lot of people like throwing shade at them outside of that kind of general area. Like especially by the time the first LP happens, like I feel like there was a lot of like vitriol, like, oh, they're the vampire band. Like it almost like painted them into a corner a little bit, as I kind of brought up to him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was an experiment, right? Like it was a yeah, I don't know. I know Don talks about it like it was like a really planned out thing that they really thought about and I wonder, I believe him, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And then also, they've done a couple tours by then and probably stole shit from people and did or did whatever they do, you know. So I get it, but I don't know. I guess I do have a regional bias, but
I
because
I love them too, but I feel like
yeah,
they were not, like, I don't know if they would show up if I was making a bracket of the bands from the 90s that, that like were the biggest bands during that era.
hmm
Like,
yeah, they would for me, but I would understand why someone outside of uh PA in New Jersey they might not show up for sure.
would Chokehold show up for you?
1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was talking about it with Scott Vogel in Toronto, and that's what he brought up. He's like, dude, Chokehold. He's like, I don't even really like him, but
Yeah.
like you can't fucking deny it, to
During that
me,
era.
yeah, and dude, to me, like, I think we were talking about Hatebreed before on here, and I said like what's great about like the Hatebreed record is each song is like about a different thing that like almost all hardcore people think. You know what I mean? Like, or like, you know what I mean? Like, and to me, that's like what like Chokehold is like the 90s. Content with Dying is like the 90s sewed on screen printed patch version of that, where it's like every dumbass, PC kid in the 90s take on every political issue. It's like each song is
The
here's how I feel
Chokehold.
about this. Here's how I
Yeah.
feel about that. Here's, like I love that. I love Content with Dying. I love that record.
I think Assuck also was like a band that every patch kid had a
Yes.
patch of back then.
Wait, hold on. My one crazy cat came in here and he's very hungry and he
He might eat records.
yeah, hold on.
Oh,
Here,
vamp.
bub.
Um, yeah, I'm looking at the write-ins now too on here, and yeah, they shout out to Hardlore. They did a lot of cool work on this because
All right,
there's a
sorry, I'm
lot to
back.
talk about. No, I'm going back to the brackets now and looking at the write-ins to see like zero
Yeah,
tolerance. No one,
that's insane. Zero
no one
tolerance
cares.
is insane, dude.
I love
Like,
them. I love the band so much, but yeah, into another too. Like you know, I
I'll say
botched.
this, dude, Into Another were really fucking popular in Wilkes-Barre with the people, like the dudes of the generation before me fucking worshipped Into Another. But I don't know if I'd put them in there.
If I were going to do bands that shifted the needle, not necessarily in a positive way, but bands that certainly caused a lot of conversation,
Hmm.
there could be an argument for One Life Crew being there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not mad at them being on there. I mean, dude,
I don't know about
fucking
best. The thing you want to put in front of them.
yeah. I mean, Born Against isn't on here.
Yeah, that's that. You're right. Born Against.
Like,
That's
what the fuck?
yeah. You're right. Born Against.
If
That's
Born Against
definitely
aren't on here, what the fuck are we even talking about?
yeah. Born
Born
Against
Against aren't
definitely.
on here, but fucking Arc Arkanji, what is that even? I
Archangel
don't
is it
even know that
Archangel?
fucking logo and it's on here.
Yeah,
Like no hardcore person knows what that is.
yeah. I'm like I think like you definitely would need to have Born Against, Crudos, and I'd say his hero's gone in terms of like the bands
Hmm.
that were uber popular. Like, would you describe Bikini Kill as a hardcore band,
No,
as
not
a punk
even a little
as a
bit.
punk band?
Yeah.
Well, they're connected, right? Like they're on comps. I would say if I'm the guy who's making an argument that AFI is a hardcore band, I would make that argument that Bikini Kill's a hardcore band.
This is why that I have an issue with that is because I think you would have an even better argument to say Chamberlain and Promise Ring and you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
because those bands were, to be
Cap
honest,
and Jazz. I
yeah,
think
like that's what really was ringing off in the hardcore scene in the
yeah,
90s. You know what I mean? Like throw the Get Up Kids on.
Jimmy Eat World,
Get Up Kids in the 90s had moshing just as hard as any of these bands in Philly. I'll tell you that much.
grade pre-victory,
Yeah,
like Separate the Magnets
Separating the Magnets. Yeah,
and Such as Progress, like those records were
everybody had those records.
ginormous. Yeah, like they
Yeah.
were definitely Second Nature. I think had probably like kind of a lock on things for a hot minute there. I'm trying to think of some other Second Nature band. Blood Brothers. They were like
Mm,
the 2000s, I
that's
guess.
2000s. I
But
wouldn't say that's hardcore personally.
yeah, I don't know. It connects, but yeah, like I think adjacent, like you said before. Yeah, I don't like Floor Punch too. Like I love Floor Punch. I got a Floor Punch jacket. I have every single record, but like I feel like you need the other side of that beef reflected, and you need someone from that sort of Louisville scene also on this.
Yeah, I think Louisville isn't showing up here. Like
But what would
there's,
be the Louisville band like? Guilt? Like I don't know anyone that actually liked
I know that's the
Guilt.
thing. Like Guilt, they they were almost like not they were almost like an industry plant in a sense because of like their ex-members and like label tie. Like no one actually liked them.
No, you're
Because
right.
I'll go back and try because I'll get in my like 90s hardcore bag and I'm like, man, I never really Guilt never clicked, but I'm so in this bag right now. I bet it'll hit right now. It never does. I don't know what it is. So I don't know. Like I love Four Walls Falling, Falling Forward, right?
Yeah,
Falling Forward is the Elliott band.
forward fall. Yeah, and Endpoint
Yeah, Endpoint. I
would
mean,
be
and I think I would say Outspoken before Endpoint, even though they're not
yeah,
Louisville, obviously. But I always think of those bands together just because they're like the early 90s straight edge bands.
yeah, and also Disembodied. Uh, like Mike from Fucked Up loved them. They were
Hmm.
definitely like a buzzed band, but I think like I would say Converge over Disembodied or Coalesce.
Yeah, like I understand why these guys think Disembodied Disembodied were big in the 90s. Like I knew people who liked them a lot, and they all are another one of those like kind of convergence bands that like crossed over into the tough guy scene a little bit. But I agree, Coalesce were like headlining fests and shit around here, you know?
The Converge Coalesce split
Hmm.
was that was like the Inspect Deck record of DIY hardcore, or maybe not DIY hardcore at that point, whatever that scene was. But like I remember people like were freaking out about that thing before it came out.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like looking at Doghouse Records right now, like Threadbare, they weren't that big. Cable weren't that big. Chamber, dude, to me, like Split Lip and Chamberlain were fucking really
Split
big.
Lip and Chamberlain, you're right. They were definitely
Yeah, and I personally love both. I love Split Lip and Chamberlain.
and I'd say if like Cold is Cold as Life on this?
They are.
Yeah, I would say more than Cold as Life, Earth Mover was kind of like the more popular band from Detroit back then.
Yeah, Cold as Life were not popular.
Like
They weren't big like that.
it was but then once again, like I think Best is definitely like something that changes the conversation,
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
and then it's more much more reflective of taste.
Yeah, because if it's best, yeah, sure, Cold as Life. I don't look. I'm not super into Cold as Life, but I understand like they fucking rock. But then like, dude, like some of the write-ins, like, dude, Sam Black Church, like, no.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, no, definitely. In Boston, only in Boston, they would
yeah,
be like very regional.
Grimlock, no.
It'd be like me saying Hockey Teeth, which is a band that no one outside of this area would know.
But I mean, Sam Black Church, they were what were they on? They were on a big label, right?
They were on a big label. They might have even been on
Tang. Were they on Tang?
I think they did something on Tank, but I think they might have even gone to like, or maybe I'm just confusing it with Wrecking Crew.
Mm,
But like they were on like Roadrunner, one of those kind of like labels, maybe.
I don't think Sam Black Church were.
Okay, maybe I'm just confusing it with
Maybe though, I don't know.
Wrecking Crew. Um,
I don't know. I think
think
the
of it all.
biggest sick of it all. See, I think of them as an 80s band.
I so do I, but I think like in terms of like the records like I go back and listen to, I got into them in the 90s,
Yeah.
but Built to Last was like ginormous
Mm.
for a record. And Scratch the
Yeah.
Surface too was like,
Yeah, Scratch the Surface was big. And
but Built
Just
to
Look
Last, I think,
Around is 92, 90, 90,
yeah. But when's Built to Last? Like
97,
95,
90. No,
96?
that's Scratch the Surface.
Okay, so like that, I feel like that record was the bridge record for the pop punk kids getting into New York hardcore.
Yeah, because that was
It
on Fat Wreck, right?
No, that was on a major label still, East West.
It
And then
was?
yeah, and then the next one's on Fat Wreck, which is the one that everyone is not as much a fan of. But Built to Last like came out
Huh.
on the
Oh yeah,
vinyl.
you're right.
They have the straight ahead cover as
Yeah.
a bonus track, and they they were like stealing bills with all these pop punk bands. Like they would go to the Warp Tour and they would sell it a merch before. Their year on the Warp Tour was like them, the Descendants, um, H2O, Social Distortion, and they were like one of the biggest draws that year. It felt
I mean, dude, does H2O go on here?
like if you're talking about bands that were like massive back then in the 90s, like yeah, I think so. But then you get into the sonic question of like sonically, what is hardcore versus what is punk?
I mean, to
Like
me,
if
they're a hardcore
H2O,
band. All their songs are about hardcore.
yeah, definitely. And it is like that's the thing, like Lifetime, no one's putting Lifetime on there for the fucking new age LP, right? Like it's for the pop punk records,
It is, but dude, those to me, those are the melodic hardcore records. Those aren't pop punk,
but then it's
in my
hardcore
opinion.
adjacent. If you're gonna make that argument about all those other bands, to me, that's hardcore adjacent at that point.
No, no, I
I
disagree.
I I feel like they were 100% part of the hardcore scene the whole way through, but like sonically, like them being on there, I guess is like makes as much sense as AFI being on there. Like I think less sense than AFI being on there. like sonically?
Uh,
Because at this point, then we're gonna have to open it up. Like, No Effects calls themselves a hardcore band, right? Does No Effects wind up on the best hardcore list bands of the '90s?
Come on, man.
I'm being honest. Like, this is the thing, right? Like, this is the problem with the hardcore and the punk thing, the divide. Because No
See,
Effects, Fat
you're
Mike would say he's a hardcore band. They were
you're
a hardcore
looking
band.
at hardcore like I don't know. To me, hard. I don't know. I don't think it has to be like heavy ass shit to be hardcore. Like to me, Lifetime's still hardcore.
So then there's No Effects hardcore because they define themselves as being hardcore. They started
No,
as a hardcore band in the '80s.
no, because Lifetime, even those last two records, they're still straight up, straight fast hardcore songs on them with breakdowns and shit. And also, I don't know. To me, like those early Lifetime records, like the new age stuff, I love those records. I think they're fucking great. Like if they aged really well to me, like the background LP, if you go and listen to that now, it's like it sounds so different and interesting. Like not interesting, just like I don't know if a band came out like that sounded like that now, that'd be so cool.
I love Lifetime the whole way through, and have
Yeah.
loved that like every record since back then. But if you're saying that they can get on this list, then I'm going to put the New Bomb Turks Destroy Oh Boy, which has breakdowns. It's fast as fuck. It sounds more like a hardcore record than New
Yeah.
Jersey's Best Dancers
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah, yeah. That's just one record though.
yeah, but like their other records keep that sonic tradition kind of going, right? Like they're not quite as hardcore as that record, but like that would be 100% on my list of
You know what it is to me? It's like you had to be in the hardcore scene,
yeah. But then it's like then
which the
we got
new
to
Bob
exclude,
Turks were not.
but well they were for their area, but like because they knew the inept guys and they were like kind of like all Columbus hardcore kind of like connected, right? Like I don't know, just you're right. Like it, I guess, but like No Effects once again calls themselves hardcore. Do I think they belong on this list? Not necessarily,
That's
but
like Fallout Boy calling themselves hardcore because it's like they it's like a fucking luxury. They
but
have
No
the
Effects
luxury to be able to
also,
call themselves that.
but No Effects came out of the Doug Moody world. No one
Yeah.
liked him till the '90s though.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This is why these things are so fun. Like this is
How do you feel about VOD?
I was never really a fan. I saw
Yeah.
them a bunch back then, and it was just see. I like stuff with like speed, so that's
Mhm.
my bias kind of showing through. Like like there's a lot of stuff on here that would be fall into the tough kind of banner that I did like because there were fast parts. Don't get me wrong, like I fucking love Damnation AD, like forever. Collect Damnation AD records. Battery should be on there over Damnation AD.
I think it's a shame that Battery isn't on here. That's crazy.
I think it's because Battery, a lot of people now have like weird baggage around them.
Yeah.
I don't know why necessarily because no one ever really gives me an answer being like, oh, this is why. But like, yeah, like at the time they were, the band more than Damnation AD ever was at the time.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I love thinking about this. I could think about this all day.
And I'd say Despair over Buried Alive.
I mean, dude, Turmoil are a cool band, but
Yeah.
they shouldn't be on here. That's very regional, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But they were dope though. I don't know. I mean, I'd rather them be on here than some of the other shit. So I'm not I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like it's because like Bastard just rings like very out of place.
Yeah,
But
what's the band above Hatebreed? Oh, Crown of Thorns.
Crown of Thorns.
Okay, I'll give you Crown of
Yeah.
Thorns.
Yeah. They were
I'll,
definitely
They weren't like super active though.
No, and it feels like also by the end of the 90s, it had all shifted to
Scarhead.
Scarhead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the
Crown of Thorns
Scarhead.
were almost like a, even though Scarhead were the project band, it seems like Scarhead did way more than Crown of Thorns, right? Like,
Yeah, Scarhead did the Warp Tour. They had the record on Victory.
yeah.
They certainly were more internationally. Well, I don't know. Crown of Thorns might have done Europe a lot.
Yeah, maybe.
That was the other thing. Like Europe was such
Mm.
a place for these bands to kind of tour and kind of like live out their whole career in Europe too.
I always forget about that that like later like Crown of Thorns LP too with like the cigar wrapper
Yeah,
artwork. Like I always forget about that one. So, yeah, okay.
I think it must go for like $500 now. I bet.
What about Bloodlit? Should Bloodlit be on here?
Yeah, I love Bloodlet.
Do you love Bloodlit?
Yeah, I got like look at this. I got all the records, but then I also got the Smorgasbord tape,
Oh, nice.
and then Solid Answer, the pre-Bloodlet band.
What does
These
that
are
sound like?
it's kind of like a more hardcorey vibe. I haven't listened to it in a long time, but I remember really liking it. They've got a
Solid
song called
answer?
"The Hard Way."
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's and then they also have an X on the logo, so you kind of get a vibe that it's like you know
Hmm.
a little more straightforward kind of hardcore vibe. I'm trying to remember, it had like kind of hardline-ish lyrics.
Wait, when did the Outburst 7 inch come out?
Is it 89 or is it 91?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think now. Charles Bronson also like that band.
89, 89. Okay.
89. Okay,
Oh yeah, Charles Bronson. What the fuck?
but Charles Bronson also was like kind of like regional. I guess they toured a little bit.
No, dude. I think Charles Bronson were fucking big.
Yeah, I'm trying to think also like
But I can't imagine these guys appreciating Charles Bronson.
yeah, Charles Bronson. I fucking loved them. They were definitely like my probably like my favorite band for a while. Like by the time that LP came out, there's got to be stuff though. Also, I'm forgetting from the early '90s that would have been
Yeah.
uh, a Veil.
Yes. That's what George, when I was talking about this to George from Blacklisted, he said it's crazy Avail's not on here. Totally
Yeah,
spot on. Yeah. Avail and Battery should be on here. It's crazy. I don't know.
yeah. I'm trying to think of bands that people like used to cry going to see. I
Yeah.
remember going to see Grade, and I'd seen Grade open for Propagandhi prior, and then maybe another time. No, I'd seen Kyle play in Akron,
Mm.
um, and being like, I just didn't get it. Like I was still like very much kind of like into pop punk, kind of into the Victory hardcore stuff, and like just kind of crossing over into hardcore stuff around that time. And then I went to see a Veil and Grade open, and all those guys from that band DBS were there, and they were like, I'm like, are you guys here to see a Veil? Because they were playing up the street with Doom later on. This is a crazy story.
Wow.
And so I'm like to the DBS guys, like, are you guys here to see a Veil? They're like, no, no, we're here to see Great. They're like, he's like, I called my friend back home last night and told her I was going to see Great today, and she started crying. She's like, they're the greatest band of all time. Like, you know, sorry, I think a thing's gone off in the background.
Wait, one more thing on this list.
Yeah,
What about Burn and Super Touch and Inside Out?
I was going to say Inside Out, but Inside Out, it's like Inside Out. They were like, I wasn't around for when it hit. I feel like it was a phenomena once it hit. Like people just like freaked out immediately. Like this, the first pressing of that 7 inch is like 4,000 copies. Mind you, that's what Rev was kind of pressing around then.
But
And
if we're just going off of the premise that these guys are going off of, right? Where like who had the best record and was like classic record to this day and is
yeah,
gonna hold on forever. Inside Out record is right up there with fucking Victim in Pain to me.
Okay, then if we're going like records, because
Yeah.
like that's like see like that's the thing. It's like if the criteria is like live show, you know, cultural impact, I think that's like a different thing than just like
Okay.
records, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, obviously, yeah. But I'm saying
I think
from their view of what this is, just the it has to be just what they think who made the best music.
yeah, because I don't know, because like it feels like Hatebreed to me then is not it for the 90s because there's one LP
For them it is though, because to them,
that's the greatest record.
Hatebreed is what we're saying Victim in Pain
But
is.
I'm saying like for me then I feel like it's got to be a band that had a birth of records, you know, like more than like
Mm,
one, you know, like Inside Out wouldn't be it because they have one incredible 7 inch, right?
I know, but isn't that what hardcore is? You know?
Yeah, but I think like I feel like then it becomes well, yeah, you're right. Like like who had the most impactful like single greatest 7 inch versus who had the most impressive discography from the 90s? Integrity.
Yeah,
Integrity is the only band that put out like multiple relevant LPs, I feel like,
agreed. Yeah.
that I can think of off the top of my head. You know, Born Against had 2 LPs worth of stuff, maybe, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But Integrity, I feel like,
To me, the answer to this bracket is Integrity,
yeah,
personally. Um, yeah.
they were also a band that like people turned so much after that One Life Crew riot thing. It felt like there just was like a divide, and I think the back half of the 90s for Integrity are super interesting, and I feel like the records they put out are some records that I like love, but that mid period of records that they put out are just like untouchable. Like the 10 inch, the first LP, Seasons is godly. Like yeah,
Yeah, to me that yeah, nothing really touches them for this time period.
yeah. Like who are hardcore bands that put out multiple great LPs as
Other than
part of
Cold
this?
World, I don't know.
Yeah,
Um and Fucked
present company
Up.
excluded, of course. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, like even like first wave bands, Circle Jerks put out more than like I would say
Mhm.
more than their peers. Black Flag, of course, put
Yeah,
out
Black Flag.
multiple incredible
I mean,
LPs.
Matt, like to me, like Madball.
Yeah, Madball. I feel like Madball also could be a real strong argument could be made for them winning this whole bracket thing.
Hmm.
I feel like maybe them more than Hatebreed in terms of like a band that existed throughout the 90s. Like Hatebreed, like you're saying, the argument could be made for them in the 2000s as much as it could be made for the late 90s.
Man, you know what's weird? It's like who like really sounds like Madball? I can't really think of any band that like, yo, this just sounds like set it off, you know, like
Yeah.
there's obviously like bands that sound like Integrity. There's bands that sound like what was the other band we were just talking about with these dudes?
Uh
Hey, dude,
Hatebreed.
I'll say even Hatebreed, like
Yeah.
I've never heard a band that sounds as in fucking hard and intense with that writing style as the Satisfaction LP. Like I've never heard anyone do that correctly.
Yeah, like I feel like the Madball records are
Hmm.
just so hard hitting and so impactful that it was almost like too real for people at the time
Hmm.
because it was just like but yeah,
But
like Hatebreed,
just
it felt
like
like people appreciated it as it was happening.
just from like a musical standpoint though, like the songwriting for Madball was fucking incredible. Like,
It's also fast too. Like that's what I
yeah,
loved about Hatebreed and Madball.
that's what I'm saying. Like they had like it really fucking hits, man. And Madball like mixed like fast with bounce, and the
Yeah.
songwriting is like really like considered, you know, instead of like just throwing riffs together, which I feel like a lot of bands that probably like try to sound like Madball, that's what they do and they miss that finesse.
Yeah, and I feel like Madball. at any period, but certainly at that time, the energy at a Madball show was just like
Hmm.
it was like always like, wow, this is someone could flip the Madball switch at any moment, and this could get real wild. Now that the
Yeah.
hate breed and like obviously blood for blood and these, and I'm also experiencing it in Toronto, Canada, so it's certainly a different vibe. But all those bands had certainly like an energy to it, but nothing compared to a Madball show.
Yeah. You know, like one like thing I'll say, like to put a cap on this, maybe like
We
somebody
we could
sent
talk about this for like 7 hours.
this could be its own podcast, and I would gladly co-host it. A friend of mine sent me a dude on some MMA guy. I don't know MMA at all, but he's on like that dude Theo Vaughn's podcast, and Theo Vaughn's like, "Hey man, it's true you sang in a band?" And the guy was he's like tattooed up dude, and I guess he sang in like multiple hardcore bands in Long Island. And he's like, "What's that, man? What's hardcore?" And he like explains it to him and shit. And he tells him about CBGBs and stuff. And he's like, put CBGBs up on the screen." And he like reads the fucking Wikipedia. He's like, "Started by Hilly Crystal." Reading it like it's fucking so funny. You have to watch it. But I don't know. I watched this like 20-minute clip of them talking about hardcore, and it just like fucking sucks that like this is the second time that hardcore got brought up like via like MMA people, and like of course that it goes this way, but I responded, I'm like, they talk about hardcore for 20 minutes and like there's not one mention of it like being about like trying to like inspire fucking social change or fucking any kind of awareness or at being underground or anything like that. It's just like, do you guys do that thing where you line everybody up and you run into each other? And the guy's like, yeah, wall of death. It's like, this is what, like, dude, that is where how you get this fucking list is because that is what hardcore is now. That's what they would, instead of like fucking talking about like the kind of shit that fucking Don DeVore was talking about. You're just talking about like fucking fake punching and kicking each other. Like that's what it's devolved into, unfortunately. And it's a bummer.
Yeah, but I feel like even then it was there was always that kind of divide too, right? Like there was like
Sort
the
of, but when
victory
you'd see,
catalog.
but dude, yeah, but like even in that part of the scene, like 25 to life or whatever, like they would always fucking talk about DIY at
Yeah.
least and shit like that or some kind of fucking ethics or something about like it was always about how it's like different than metal. They're like, yeah, I grew up with the fucking metal, but then it wasn't real and this stuff is real. Like there wasn't anything like that, It was just
Yeah.
like, oh, it's not as big as that. Let's say it's not as popular, so there's not enough people to do the Wall of Death, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That it's like, what the fuck, man? Like I don't know, like it sucks.
The first time I saw a wall of death in real life, I was like, this is the dumbest thing. Because like people used to do it at CBGBs, right? But it was like a what like 5 person,
Yeah,
10
yeah.
person wall at most. But to see like 50 kids lined up facing 50 kids, like little kids running at each other like full speed, like 10 rows deep, just be like, this is insane. Uh, but I like, I, I wonder if there's going to be when the next band's going to try and do the Fugazi or at the drive-in or even Bikini Kill, like no moshing at shows.
You can't. It's never gonna happen.
I think it does. I really do think it does. Like I think there's like a pendulum that swings in hardcore and punk where it goes in and out of vogue, and I feel like there's going to be something that's going to kind of like, I don't know. I don't mean to be like a naysayer or a doomsayer for things, but I don't know. I feel like a change is going to kind of come with that sort of like style of dancing.
I don't think so. I think that as soon as you do that, it's just gonna turn it into a whole separate thing. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's gonna just be a completely separate thing. Like kind of like how like kids are having this like screamo scene happening now. Like, that's completely separate from the hardcore scene. right? Like, you know, to
It
me,
is.
like that scene is probably more hardcore than this hardcore scene we're talking about, in my opinion. But it's separate from what I understand.
Yeah, like I feel like they're weird kind of crossover points, but nowhere like it used to be.
Hmm.
Where I think these scenes were like very close together, right? Like Jason from the Orchid was asked to play bass in Hatebreed. So, there's like Orchid and Hatebreed are like kissing cousins
Yeah, I
practically.
mean, I played the
Orchid on
sh
this list. I can't believe Orchid's not on this list.
our Orchid more in 2000s though.
Were they? Maybe you're right. No, I
From
don't know.
what I remember, I was never a fan.
Page
Uh,
99 and Orchid, I remember being 90s,
yeah, I
like
guess
late
you're right,
90s.
huh? 98, 97.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Chaos is Me is like 99, and that's like to me what they're most known for.
I remember when those records started showing up in Ebullition and it being like a real divisive thing.
Hmm.
Once again, as everything was back then for people
They're
who saw
really
the thing.
late 90s though. 98. Like their demo was 97.
If Hatebreed's taking this thing, they are definitely that period.
Yeah. I
Like
mean,
maybe a little before
yeah, because when was the 7 inch?
95,
96,
maybe
95 or
96.
96. I want to say 96.
Yeah.
That was a long period between the 7 inch and the LP, it seemed like, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It was definitely. Oh, there's a chat thing we should respond to the
yeah,
chat.
what are these fools saying?
Okay. Well, the chat is Ryan Gosling. Yes, that was the name I was trying to remember. Thank
Mm.
you. Thank you very much.
Yo,
People's
you like
fandom.
straight up like don't think Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV show sucks?
It got more interesting as far as the show. This was in like the first of the second season, but yeah, no, I was never really a fan.
I never really watched it, but I know like Phil Leone was like obsessed with it. Yeah, like all the DVDs and
I could
shit.
see that.
Yeah.
There's always a weird look when there was someone who was obsessed with it. You're like, is this like, like someone who's reading Harry Potter? You're like, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know if you're like 100% in for this.
It makes me like it though.
But then it's like that it's just like
I don't know. The psycho like Phil is super into it, like makes me think it's cool.
I'm trying to think what TV shows I loved back then in the 90s.
Dude, I loved sitcoms like Caroline in the City and fucking Two Guys, a Girl in a Pizza Place and shit like that.
I like news radio. I was really into news radio back then.
Yeah, News Radio was rocked.
Um,
What
Trying to
was
think
the one? What was the one that Andy Dick was on? It was
news
like,
radio.
but I'm not thinking of News Radio.
Who's on another one? Chat,
Fuck.
help us out. What do you all think of Killer Cross stuff going on? If Lifetime is hardcore, is the movie life hardcore?
No, I mean, I don't think the movie Life is hardcore, right? Like, I don't know.
I don't really know enough about their music to say, but I think if you're opening that up to them, I feel like you got to open up to like all sorts of stuff on Eyeball Records that neither one of us wants to put up on this bracket list.
Yeah, I think movie Life were kind of like more like Newfound Glory-ish type stuff, but with like harder breakdowns, like like a
Yeah.
more of a hardcore feel for sure. But
And all that stuff's a direct result of Lifetime. I feel like the Lifetime shift had all like the Shai Hulud guys doing Newfound Glory,
yeah,
like Saves the Day. Like there's just so much stuff that was kind of a reaction to Lifetime.
yeah, I agree. But Lifetime, I don't know. I don't know. They're like a goat status to me.
I
I
love them.
love
I
Lifetime.
think
Yeah.
that all these like it's really hard to come up with the greatest band from the '90s because there's so much great stuff in
I
that
mean,
period.
those last two Lifetime LPs are like masterpieces to me. Like, I don't know about masterpieces, but that's like as good as I don't know. I can't imagine making like two LPs that good, right? Back to back.
Uh, but they never really kind of experienced it like as those records became legendary. They broke up basically before New Jersey's Best Dancers even came out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like yeah, like I don't know. I remember seeing them around Hello Bastards up here, and it was incredible, but
Mhm.
it certainly wasn't like when Crudos played up here or Zero's Gone.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Um, we got to play with them a couple shows, and me and Alex always talk about that's the band we want to play with again for sure, if possible.
Man, we could go on for this forever. We can definitely ramble on
Wait,
this.
so did you have a pop culture topic to bring up?
I feel like mine would be very short because we spent a lot of time talking it, but I'm really
I'm up to keep going. I'm down
oh
to
I'm up
keep
to keep
talking.
going too. But
Okay.
I got three great things to talk about today too, so I think we're probably gonna wind up talking about those for a while.
That's shit. Okay.
But I wanted to talk to you, Woj, because you do enjoy Canadian sitcoms about Can Rock. Because this today on the show I got Mo Berg,
Hmm.
who played an incredible punk power pop band back in the day called Modern Minds. They put out a single in '81. I think I got the single. Ah, got the single right here. But then they went on, and Mo played in this band called The Pursuit of Happiness, and The Pursuit of Happiness are like ginormous. Like they did a video back in the day for their song "I'm an Adult Now," which we talk about on the episode, and that was like underground kind of like not underground like it was played on Much Music, but that was like I don't know, I'm trying to think of like what would be an American equivalent of it back then. But there's like a bunch of stuff like Northern Pikes is another band. This kind of came out of a conversation with my brother and I where he was like, do you think do you think like anyone in the States knows about these bands? And I'm like, no, I
You're
guarantee you
right.
no one does. But like
No.
Northern Pikes, Pursuit of Happiness, 5440, and 5440 did this song called "Every Time I Look at You, I Go Blind," and that got covered by Hootie and the Blowfish and became a hit in America
Hmm.
for Hootie and the Blowfish.
Damn, that was a cover.
That was a cover of 5440, and 5440 were on Moo Ma Do La Records. I'm fucking up the name, but that's like the Vancouver art label that put out the first two albums of them before they signed to Reprise. All these bands had massive careers in Canada. I imagine would have done some US touring, but short of a couple bands getting Buzzbin videos, I think this whole era of Canadian music is just like doesn't register at all. Like I think DOA and those types of bands are more popular in America than these bands, even though they were much more commercial.
It's so weird, man.
Yeah. I'm going to send you some stuff because
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what you think of it because these were like yeah, like radio rock staples. I guess at the same time, like REM would have been in America, and I'm trying to think of like other bands that would have been played.
Is this
Husker
like
Du and the
college rock?
Replacements. I guess it would have been college rock,
Hmm.
but it almost crossed over more to kind of like mainstream rock. Blue Rodeo is another band from up here. They started out as this band, the Hi-Fi's, a power pop band, and then they became much more kind of like Roots. And it's softer than X, and it's more kind of like radio friendly, I guess, than that sort of like stuff coming out of LA, Blood in the Saddle, and those types of bands. But it also is very much kind of in keeping with that it comes out of punk rock, and these were bands that like were like number one on the charts up here back then. We kind of had cool mainstream music, weirdly,
Hmm.
during that time period.
Yeah, we didn't. Huh.
No, like I guess Tragically Hip's probably the biggest band, and they were almost like kind of going into a different era. Like they're going into the '90s.
We always like saw that name, Tragically Hip, but they never had a hit
Yeah,
here that I know of.
they would play America, and there would be like 700 people there, and it would be every Canadian from miles around, and every American friend that they dragged there.
What are like the Canadian metal bands?
God, there's tons. There's a
Yeah.
great book about the history of metal in Toronto. Lee Aaron was like kind of our metal queen. She had like some big kind of crossover hits, but um, fuck, what's that band they made the movie about a couple years ago? Anvil.
Oh, Anvil. Yeah.
Anvil was here, but there's also like way cooler bands. I'm blanking on every name. Slaughter, Sacrifice, Slaughter, like Canadian Slaughter.
Hmm.
Chuck from Death moved up to Canada for a while and joined Canadian Slaughter and played with them um, before the first Death LP. They were like killer. Their stuff's like super amazing. There's like
Yeah, I've heard
Razor.
them.
Razor
Oh,
was a little more.
Razor, right? Yeah,
Killer
yeah.
Dwarves were kind
Mm.
of a more mainstream kind of like metal kind of glam band. There's tons of great stuff out of Montreal. Like Montreal had sort of like Voivod being like the biggest band, but there's like
Voivod.
a
Okay.
lot of
Yeah.
like crazy thrash stuff. And then in Vancouver, you had Blasphemy and Death Sentence and like yeah, like a lot of great stuff out of Vancouver. Yeah, there's a lot of cool metal records. There's actually like a really cool Canadian metal or like metal record from here that CBC Records put out. The band's called Northern Haze, and I believe they're from Nunavut, and they're an Inuit kind of like metal Black Sabbath informed band. Did
Hmm.
like 2 records, unbelievable band. So there's
Damn.
like a lot of cool metal from up here, but it's like weird because it's like we're so close, and certainly at a certain point, Sum 41 and Simple Plan and these bands cross over, but there's so much stuff that never made it.
Yeah, it's very weird, man.
Yeah, like there's like a band like Sloan from up here. That's probably the best, one of the best Canadian bands, but they're like they're the first to say it. Like they can tour Canada, they just don't tour America anymore because it just doesn't make sense for them financially because they can just tour Canada and be perfectly fine. But
Really? Sloan doesn't tour the US?
not really. They'll do.
Hmm.
They're like kind of like a van tour band in the U.S., but they're like a
Yeah.
certainly a bus tour band in Canada.
Are Polvo from Canada?
No, Polvo is from North Carolina,
Okay.
but we Pluto is from Canada. They were
Pluto.
like they were on Mint Records and might have been on some stuff in the U.S. comps and things back then because of like Mint Records had that deal with Lookout Records for a
Hmm.
hot minute. Gob was another band that I think kind of crossed over a little bit to the
Yeah, a
states.
little bit.
And but like it's weird, like Canadian punk bands like SNFU, DOA, Personality Crisis, even
Hmm.
like it feels like they have more of a presence in America than these giant Canadian rock bands.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even hip hop, like I try to think of like 90s hip hop, like there's like Maestro Fresh, Wes, what else?
Snow,
Rascals, Socrates, Snow. Yeah.
yeah, Snow's probably the biggest, right? Because
Yeah,
he
yeah.
had like a big hit in the states.
Hmm.
Sean Paul, um, but yeah, you're right. Like Maestro Fresh West, and I think your knowledge goes deeper. Like there's Ghetto Concepts. There's like this really cool Northern Touch was like
Yeah.
the posse cut, right? That came
Yeah.
out and like Choclair
Yeah.
was on
Yeah.
there. There's like some really cool, obscure Canadian hip hop records. Like I found a few over the years that I'm like, had never heard of these guys. They certainly didn't have videos on much music that I ever saw. And it feels like, yeah, there certainly was a thriving scene. A lot of great Canadian reggae records because so many
Yeah.
Jamaican artists moved up here.
Definitely. Yeah.
Um,
I
there's
remember like one early 90s Canadian record I used to always see, Dream Syndicate.
yeah,
I feel like
Dream
we talked
Warriors.
about this. Was it Dream Warriors?
Yeah, Dream Syndicate's the American bands. This but that's fucking awesome. But Dream Warriors had a hit with Wash Your Face in My Sink. Like it was on Top of the Pops or something in the UK.
Really?
Yeah. Like they were like weirdly really popular in the UK for a hot minute.
I can see that. Yeah.
Wash Your Face in My Sink. And then what was their other big hit? My definition. My definition is this. My definition. This is my definition of a boobastic lifestyle.
Yeah, they never had anything breakthrough in the States, but I used to always see their ads in hip hop magazines in the early 90s. So
Did you ever hear that Maestro Fresh Wes 45 King record that he did?
I think that might be the one that they play on Stretch and Bob.
That's probably the one, because that's like the really good one. That because he had Let Your Backbone Slide, which was a huge hit, the first
Hmm.
major Canadian rap record, like number one hit up here. And then he moved to America and tried to, work his way up in the States, and did two 12 inches, I think, in the US. And they're both pretty expensive, but unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one it is they always played on Stretch and Bob. I feel like it was 94, 95.
That makes sense.
I don't know.
He and I were supposed to be on a rap song together. Like I rapped on the song one
Oh,
time.
really?
Yeah, it was supposed to be like this guy rapper up here, Decisive, had us both rap on a song together. I don't think it ever came out.
Did you
Mercifully
come
for me.
like second or Fury 5 second and on one at all hip
It
hop
was
remix
it
style?
was definitely like really someone trying to find their flow and not really finding it on my end. Might be why it never came out.
Hit the cutting room floor.
Yeah. But I'm gonna make you a playlist, and maybe I should find a way to share it with everybody, because I feel like there's like a lot of can rock anthems that, this is music that's perfect for the cottage.
Is Matthew Sweet from Canada?
No, he's from the
Okay.
States. He
All
was
right.
in a band. What was his band in the States? Buzz of Delight, I believe it might have been called. I don't know. I
I
have a
don't know.
Christmas record they put out way back when. No, Canada, like Trouble Charger. Did Trouble Charger have a hit? American Psycho.
I know the name. I don't remember any songs from them.
Okay. Yeah, like Hayden was another guy. I think you'd love Hayden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like they call it the can rock renaissance, and it was like this period in like the mid 90s, post Nirvana, where I guess Canada was searching for its Nirvana,
Mm.
and never found anything kind of like close to it really in that way, but certainly a lot of weird and interesting bands got signed in the wake by the Canadian music industry. Doughboys. I feel like Doughboys getting signed was kind of a result of the Nirvana thing a little bit.
Doughboys. Yeah, they're a band that I discovered recently, you know,
Got some
from
hits.
you. Yeah, they're fucking good, man.
We got some hits.
They're dope.
I'll make you a playlist.
Cuties too, you
They definitely had a
know.
look. Have you ever
Yeah.
did I ever send you the video of them playing in Jamaica?
I don't think
Oh
so.
my god, it's one of the funniest videos ever.
Did they have their dreads?
Yeah, it's like John still has his dreads. John
Whoa.
Kastner. Yeah, he's married to what's her name from Mad Men, Jessica Paré, I believe.
Damn.
Um, but he lives in LA. But yeah, he still got his dreads. Like when he was on the podcast, he had his dreads. But they're playing this show. They do a cover of Final Solution by Rocket from the Tombs or Perubu.
Hmm.
And it's just to a bunch of like super disinterested, like frat looking kids that are all sitting on the ground on the beach watching them play. And then John from the band smashes guitar into his amp. It's so awesome. And it was filmed for Much Music as part of their like Much Goes to Jamaica, where they would take a bunch of contest winners down to Jamaica for spring break.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like must be their answer to like MTV Spring Break.
Yeah, and it's so good how uninterested these kids are.
Man,
Uh,
MTV and I get and much music like I don't know, we're so cool just because all the weird shit that came out of them, you know?
the early years of both of them, I think, are really what should be studied. Like that's what I would love to go back and see. Where, yeah, Kraut had an MTV hit
Yeah,
back then because there's just like nothing to play. So,
yeah,
oh yeah, let's play Kraut. And I feel like up here at Much Music, it kind of lasted a little bit longer, like into the 90s. Like you look at a band like DBS, who are like a bunch of little kids on this punk label from Vancouver, that made this cool music video, and the next thing you know, they're on Much Music and they're playing on Much Music, or
Mm.
SNFU would play on Much Music back then. So I don't know, it felt like Much Music was cooler longer, but then eventually Much Music got so bad. Like, and I say this
Yeah.
as someone who worked there during this period.
I would say that they there wasn't anything like homegrown like that, like with MTV, obviously in the 90s, but I don't know, cool stuff definitely still broke through, you know, like I don't know, like it's crazy, like Shudder to Think we're a Buzzbin band, you know what I mean? Shit like that. Like there was definitely,
Oh, like Danzig and
yeah,
Rollins and like weird shit like that too. But you're right, Shudder thinks a little cooler than that in
yeah.
some ways. I feel like with MTV, or maybe it's on Fuse. There's a lot of like lost media stuff that I'd love to see now. Like, remember Pete Wentz had like a talk show
Mm-mm.
and like had no Asian bands play on it and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
I'd love
Yeah.
to see that now. I'd also love to see the Fuse reality TV show about the Warp Tour,
Wow. Yeah, that'd be crazy.
where like Fat Mike is going around just fucking with all the Christian bands. It's like it's embarrassing for all parties involved. It's not a good look.
I feel like we might have talked about this before, but there used to be a show on MTV where you would send them your premise. You'd be like, "This is what I do," and they'd send you a video camera, and you tape yourself doing it, and then they edit it together into a segment.
Yeah.
And like one of them was, "I'm a New York hardcore dude," and the dude would like it had him going to CBGBs. And I feel like the night he went was when someone staged over and like broke their neck. Like either was it Life of Agony or Black Train Jack? Some band like that happened, and I want to say that they were at that show on this MTV TV
That's
show.
fucking crazy.
And there was another one where it was like somebody, and I want to say in the Pacific Northwest, who were like, I throw like fucking drum and bass raves, you know what I mean? And it had them finding a venue and setting up the sound system and all that shit. Like it was fucking awesome.
What about like the MTV News special reports thing on Straight Edge?
Yeah, I remember that.
That blew my mind as a kid seeing that. And we were in upstate New York on a school trip, and I saw that in the hotel room on MTV, and I could not believe it. I was so like, this is insane.
I get that one mixed up. There's another one that was like more like a network one
There
that
was like
had
a
like
2020 thing or something, right? Or
yeah,
like
like that
America's
had
Most
like
Wanted.
In My Eyes and Earth Crisis on it.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, I feel like the MTV one had Earth
Earth
Crisis.
Crisis. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were at shows in Syracuse and they were filming
Yeah.
kids like Xing up.
Moshing and Xing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I went back and rewatched it. It's nowhere near as exciting now as it was for me as a kid.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is what it looked like. I remember it being kind of like frightening and dangerous back then. And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, I remember like the moshing scenes on the MTV one like looked lit to me then.
Yeah. It's like,
But I mean, dude, now like you fucking people start kicking each other in the face before a band even hits a fucking
dude,
note.
just smashing each other as hard as they can
Yeah.
with this thing. Well, I definitely I feel like the Can Rock thing I'm gonna have to follow up with you on once you hear some of this stuff. But I'm
Yeah.
interested in the fact that this is kind of like an undiscovered part of Canadian culture. And like only because there's so much Canadian culture that now is part of like wider pop culture, like because post Drake and post even like all that indie stuff that it kind of exploded in the early 2000s from here.
Hmm.
But man, the 90s and the 80s, oh my god. Yeah, I gotta send you the I'm an adult now video. There's a lot of good things. Maybe this will be a YouTube playlist.
Yeah, do a YouTube playlist.
Yeah.
Um, one thing I like about Canada that I forgot to grab one while I was up there is the Big Turk candy bar. Are you a fan of that?
I'm not.
No,
but it is
you're
a
familiar.
weird Canadian thing apparently, which I didn't know.
Yeah.
I always thought it was like more. I was never a big Turkish delight fan,
Mm.
so chocolate covered Turkish delight never really appealed to me that much. But there was like there are certain bars, chocolate bars that like just to me, I'm like, who would buy this? Like an Eat More bar? Do you have those in America?
No.
It's like molasses taffy, but with like
Oh, I
hard
would love that.
nuts. It's just like
I'd like that. Yeah.
just like would tear your
I like
teeth out.
getting when I'm in England, I like getting the Yorkie bar, which is the masculine one. No
Yes.
ladies
No
are
ladies
allowed.
allowed. The worst
Yeah.
campaign ever. It's like
So sick. Those are good. I like the
it's a
Yorkie.
good chocolate bar. I
Yeah.
like but I don't like it as much as like if I'm in England, I like a Cadbury chocolate bar. I also like that they put their chocolate bars in the fridge.
Yeah, they do.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like that.
You like that?
They don't refrigerate their sodas, but they refrigerate their chocolate bars.
I like getting me a bag of Monster Munch. No.
Monster Munch is great. My favorite food in the world though is beef and tomato pot noodle.
Beef and tomato pot noodle.
Yeah, do you know pot noodle?
No, what's pot noodle?
Pot noodle is like they're like I don't know, like it's just like the instant noodle, right? But it comes in like a little cup, and they're all vegan because it's just TVP. And they've got like Bombay Bad Boy is one of the most popular flavors, and that's like a curry kind of flavor. And then they've got like a chicken and mushroom one, which I don't fuck with.
Mm.
And then they've got a couple other flavors, but beef and tomato. My God, do I love that thing? I will. We have it on a rider, and we don't get it every night, but when we do get it, oh my God, very very excited every time. Should we move on to our three things?
Yeah, sure, sure.
I think I just spat. Sorry, everybody.
Sorry.
All right. Do you want to go first?
I'll go first as just like a quick addendum. We talked about the Morrissey or we talked about the Harley Flanagan trading card.
Yeah.
And I said I thought it was just like a general like rock or like pop music card, and you said it was like a metal card.
Yeah.
And I found mine here tonight, and I was right. It's like a
It is a pop
music,
one. Okay.
yeah, because Morrissey is from the same,
Didn't he have one in that metal set too, though? Aren't there
maybe.
Chromax cars in that metal set?
I don't know. I don't have those ones. I have these ones.
Damn. I get those
Um,
slab, dude.
yeah, that'd be cool.
Slab
Singer
them.
bassist Harley Flanagan founded the Cro-Mags in 1981 when he was 15. The New York hardcore metal band's first album, The Age of Quarrel, was described as a blazing slice of state-of-the-art punk aggro by one critic. The group's latest album is titled Best Wishes.
And
Damn.
what's the Morrissey one say?
Singer-songwriter Stephen Morrissey began his career with the Smiths, an English rock group that scored such hits in the UK as What Difference Does It Make, Panic, About the Chernobyl nuclear accident, and Shoplifters of the World Unite. He opened his solo career with the single Suede Head, which was followed immediately by the album Viva Hate. Bone Drag is a collection of rare, hard to find, and otherwise inaccessible Morrissey tracks. I think Bone Drag, I go to Bone Drag when I'm listening to a Morrissey record personally. I don't know about you.
I don't really listen to too much solo Morrissey stuff. I'm one of those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know
It's
why.
it's been a minute for me. I haven't been on a Morrissey tip for a while, but I could see it coming back. But I've been on, I think I mentioned on an earlier episode, I've been on just like a straight 90s backpack and New York street rap listening spree, but I gotta say after that Cash Money No Limit verses, I've been listening to a lot of No Limit.
I've been listening to a lot of No Limit too. I put on like Master P today. I was like, I've
Yeah,
listened to Master
man.
P like since I was like a little kid.
I lo No Limit. Did you like Cash Money or No Limit when they were out?
I like No Limit. Like my friend had satellite, so we got to. I don't know. I guess he wasn't getting the satellite because he had it on a CD. He had some mixed CDs,
Hmm.
and Bout It was on one of these CDs, and we were just like, he got his driver's license, and we'd drive in his parents' car and just be like blaring this thing, like this is the crazy, and the lyrics are so insane on that song to this day.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it definitely stood out to me. So like they were, and then I kind of like bought the odd CD here and there, but
Okay.
more than Cash Money. Like I think by the time Cash Money came around, I was not.
See, I was a Cash Money guy and I didn't like No Limit. And then later on, I got into No Limit because I didn't get the nuance of what made No Limit good until later on. But yeah, I love it all for sure.
I liked like Ha when it came out. Like I thought
Hmm.
that song was like, I was like, this is in the video too. I thought it was
Yeah.
just like, holy shit, this is incredible. But I wasn't. I'd be lying if I said I was there for like the Hot Boys and all that stuff as it was kind of happening. I kind of like,
No, me too. I wasn't open to Southern rap. Like I would make fun of it. You know what I mean? Like other than like I thought like 8 Ball and MJG and Outkast were good, but yeah, I remember I was like sick at my friend Jeff Kashner's house and I was like laying on his couch and we were watching Rap City and Ha came on and it was like it was a premiere. They were like, hey, this is the new blah blah blah. And I was like half asleep and I'm like I just remember like thinking like when is he gonna start rapping? I was like, this video is fucking amazing. The beat is hard as fuck, but does he start rapping? And I fell asleep and I woke up the next day and I couldn't stop thinking about that song. And I just went and bought the tape and then I just like got super into Cash Money from there. And we would get like a couple No Limit records for like free from like the College Station or something and check those out. But I always thought I always thought No Limit were biting Cash Money.
yeah, like the pen and pixel art stuff became such a thing eventually, right? Like,
Yeah. I mean, I think all the down south and Midwest guys use pen and pixel. So it wasn't
yeah,
even that. It was just I don't
well, it
know.
was a no
I
limit thing. Their CDs had such like a distinct, like the spines were different, right? It was
they're
like
called Q packs and I wanted the Cold World CD to have a Q pack at Death Wish and they told me no fucking way.
were they the only people that did? Because they're the only ones I can remember that had that specific spine like that. Like there were digipacks and all the other things like that, but
Yeah. I remember seeing them on some like weird things like um now that's what I call music
oh
compilations.
yeah,
Like shit like that use them
yeah.
sometimes, but yeah, I don't know. Like there's, I like love collecting. Like I have a bunch of No Limit CDs. They're so fun to collect just because they're so bugged out. To look like the layout will just be like so many like all the albums coming out, and there's ones that like never came out. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like they're like, man, if this out like there's one it was like called Tank Dogs, and it was supposed to be Snoop, C Murder, Mac, and Fiend. And that's like the record that like, No Limit people are like, fuck, I wish Tank Dogs came out.
That's like in that Wu Tang Killer Bees where there's like all these people that just like never materialized for the Wu Tang, like the little kid rap group.
Yeah, the little kids. But there was little kids in No Limit, the little soldiers.
Yeah.
Where are the little soldiers at?
Well,
There they
Little
go.
Romeo
Ah.
became arguably bigger than his dad at a certain point, right?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. I know DFJ loves No Limit and Cash Money, so shout out to DFJ. I gotta
Shout out to
text him and
DFJ.
ask him what he thought of if he watched the verses or not. But
I remember when Master P played for the Raptors.
yeah.
My friend who got me into Master P, his dad somehow got them back, like became friends with the Raptors coach, and then somehow got them back there, and they met Master P when he was like
Damn.
doing like the warm ups with the Raptors and stuff.
That'd be
I
sick.
was so jealous of him. That was sick.
Imagine being able to like say what's up, Woody, to Master P. It'd be fucking amazing.
I think I think he gave my friend's little brother like his shoes or something, like something really like out of like very very strange in the
That's
end.
the one thing I wouldn't want any of his clothes like, I love the Lloyd Banks line, shit'll be as ugly as the Master P sneaker.
Did he play the Master P sneakers when he was playing basketball? I guess he must have.
Yeah, he must have. I don't know. He tried to
Jeez.
like wear all of his own shit. But anyway, all right, that was my preamble thing. But
Okay.
my real first thing is just no for no reason, a sick Youth of the Day flyer.
Damn, that is
This is
sick.
a Gilman Street flyer. Underdog Bold, Mind Over Four.
Who's Mind Over Four? Do they have a single?
I don't know. Midwest.
It's so weird that it wouldn't be like Rabid Lassie or something at the Gilman opening, you know?
I
Like, I
love
put
the
it a little
like
later.
kind of like dot matrix style
Yeah.
printing of some of the stuff on
The
here.
picture too, is that like just the resolution, or does it look like it's almost like,
It's hand drawn and then it's also like shittily like scanned.
yeah. Like, would it have been scanner back then, or is it like someone doing it on a computer, like doing Illustrator on like what was the original drawing program?
Oh, Corel Draw.
Corel Draw. Yeah. Is it a
Might be
Corel?
Corel Draw, yeah.
That's amazing.
But yeah, this I love this flyer. I got to frame it. It's sick.
That is fucking
I have a
awesome.
handful of dope Youth of Today flyers. I picked this one to show.
All right. Well, I'm gonna do start off with a not a flyer, a zine.
Okay.
So I got this zine forever ago, and I thought it was from Quebec, but then I found out it's actually from Mississauga. But I think that's because I bought it in Montreal, if I'm not mistaken. And it's Pirates of Doom. But I bought it years ago and only realized, well, more recently, years ago, that
Mm-hmm.
the illustration is actually by Brian Walsby, friend of
Mm.
the show, the person who turned down Nirvana.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the fact that this is like Brian Walsby still when he was in California before he moved to North Carolina, uh, in communication with these guys doing a zine out of Mississauga and doing the cover for their first issue.
What's on the back cover?
Back cover has a bass player ad for Mike Marley and the Sailors, who I've never heard. I've never heard.
Yeah.
But then also an ad for the Hype record, which is uh, a really kind of cool 12-inch. There's like a Toronto scene report in here too, which is funny to read, talking about a bunch of fucking goofs and negative gain. And there's also an interview with Marley and the Sailors, so I should go back and reread that. There's also, and we talked about John Castor from the Doughboys, an interview with the Asexuals, his first band in
Yeah.
here. And I believe he's actually being interviewed in the issue as well. Yeah,
Very
John
cool.
Kastner. There we go. Right there. And more illustrations from Brian Walsby kind of throughout this thing too.
Wow. Where'd you pick this zine up?
I think in Montreal, like I think it might have been at, I'm trying to remember the name of the record store that I used to always go to there. And they had like a small selection of zines from time to time and flyers. I got some great posters and flyers from there. Back in
Nice.
the good old days when people didn't care about paper outside of WFMU and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I remember hearing that uh I might not say this person's name because they might not want to know, but I heard about someone paying $700 for Smegma Report, like the Necros fanzine.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, $700 for a fucking fanzine? But now I think there's probably quite a few that would go for.
I know I'm weird about paying a lot for zines and like just printed stuff because I'm just like it's just a piece of paper that anything could have been printed on.
Yeah.
You know, like just the ink could be on it in a different way and it could be a flyer for something I don't give a fuck about and it's still essentially the same thing.
I think about that with records sometimes. Like sometimes I'm in a record store and I'll see some
Yeah.
record. I'm like, oh, the person had only bought the record beside this
Yeah.
back then and sold it to this record store. So I could have bought it. That would be my dream. But yeah, Pirates of Doom. I know there's a second issue of Pirates of Doom. I don't know if there's anything more beyond that, but the second one's fun too.
What year is that from?
86.
86. Very sick.
Yeah, it was I love when you find that stuff. I love like having zines and going through zines and finding like pictures of friends, like when they were like in a weird. I found an amazing one of Yannick from Tragedy and His Hero's Gone in his old band Doublethink when he was
Mm.
like a little kid. It's just hilarious. Sent it to him. He did not like it.
I like when I see zines and my friends getting asked if they've ever said the N word and then sending them pictures of
Jeez, yeah. Well, those
that.
different kind of zines. All right,
Um, all right.
next.
This next one is an industry plant because I had a friend send me these things as a gift. He's the kind of dude who gives people gifts anyway. But he sent me this shit. He's like, "Yo, I got a package. I'm gonna send you some shit you're gonna love." And he sent me, and I know he's a listener. And I'm like, "You're trying to get on the fucking three things, aren't you?" He's like, "Yo, low key, like, why not? You know."
So you've
But
already
he,
found a scam with this three things thing. You're on an angle you're working.
yeah, yeah. But he sent me a little collection of great Muda toys, so I'll show them off.
Oh damn.
Here's one.
Oh shit.
Here's another one.
Oh,
Here's one where the blister pack is kind of coming off, so I have to hold it right.
oh, that's sick.
This one's really good.
Yeah, that one's really cool.
The back is really cool.
It's got the helmet on.
Yeah. And then there's the NWO one, which is really cool.
Damn.
And then this last one is actually uh Liger.
Damn, those are fucking awesome. It's funny you have that because wait do you see my next item.
Okay.
I brought my next thing's like part of I brought just a couple things from my Onita collection,
Ooh.
including my Onita action figure where he's smoking the cigarette.
Hell yeah. I always wanted that one.
And then the program from the first FMW show that they
Ooh.
did back when he was fighting a karate expert.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
was still kind of like presented as a shoot. I got him to sign it, but we only had ballpoint pen the first time we hung out, so it's signed in ballpoint. But yeah, like I bought this at Totocon, and then when I met him, I'm like, boom, busted out for him to sign. He was
Amazing.
so cool. Like he came in that day, he's wearing a leather jacket, a Supreme sweatshirt, tight ass jeans, giant white ass Nikes, and
Wow.
it was like the coolest vibe. Definitely had some work done.
Yeah, yeah.
Looked pretty young,
Yeah.
but my god, it was a vibe.
That's sick. I saw him wrestle in Philly a handful of years ago and he was so fucking good, man. I wish I would have I'm sure that he was doing autographs afterwards and I don't know for some reason I didn't want to do that, but I wish I had.
It's funny because I Bob Bruno from Best Coast bought an FMW shirt, gave it to Nikki from nothing, and Nikki got it signed by Onita at that show, and then gave
Mm,
it to me. So
damn.
yeah, I've got a couple. I've got like 5 Onita autographs. Weirdly, like just on different things. Like that's like the one wrestler I collect.
Yeah.
So I was going to take this out, but I don't need to
Yeah, yeah.
open the whole program. It's just a program.
Yeah, I need some Onita stuff. I have a couple really sick FMW posters.
That's awesome. I don't have any posters.
I have two really good ones. I mean, they're all good, but I think that's all the FMW stuff I have. I want to get more though.
What's your
Okay.
next item?
My next and last is on the hip hop tip, since we're talking about hip hop a little bit. This is a sealed long box of the first KMD album, Mr. Hood.
Oh my god, that's insane.
Yeah. Um, for you young whippersnappers, this is what CDs used to come in. The CD is down
My
here,
yeah.
and this is just like blank, like, you know what I mean?
Would they put alarms in them back then?
I mean, this one doesn't have one. But I'd imagine they probably put little alarm stickers on it or something. There's this, and then sometimes there'd be like kind of like Buster ones where the CD would be like in like a fake, one that
Yeah.
just like, or it would be like clear plastic, and the CD would just be up here because you'd like flip through the CDs like this.
I have a
Um,
couple or like literally a couple flipper ones.
oh really?
Like not like the whole long box, just the front panel type
Yeah.
thing that I think would slide into those plastic ones.
Yeah, I got this, a long time ago. But I think off Discogs way before Doom died, obviously. And I also got, which I never realized until now, is that they have the same sale price with the fucking handwriting on it. They're from this, must be from the same store, but also a sealed LP of it.
Oh, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. So sometimes I look out for a sealed cassette of it to complete the trilogy.
Yeah.
But I love sealed hip hop records, yeah, but I also have like a minty unsealed LP as well for playing, but these are for collecting
Hoarding.
purposes only. Yeah.
Uh, there's my final thing, and I got to get reframed. Uh, but years ago, I sent my dad. I was trying to remember what he was, who he. I sent him down to meet and buy. Like I had to work, and there was like an autograph signing at Beguiling. A couple different comic artists came, but I sent him down with like all this money I had saved to buy something, and he's like, "Ah, the guy doesn't have any art to sell." And I'm like, "Oh," and he's like, "But this Chris Ware's got some art," and I was like a big Chris Ware fan,
Yeah.
so I bought this.
Damn.
And it was before there were like camera phones, so he's just like describing what it looks like to me, and I'm like, "Yeah, buy that, please." And
That's the original Chris Ware art?
yeah,
Holy shit.
yeah, bought it from him at the Beguiling comic shop in Toronto when he did an autograph signing.
What book is that from?
Trying to remember now. I was trying to remember before it came on, but yeah, I don't remember right now.
Damn, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was got 20 years ago now, 25 years ago. It's crazy that he brought art. Now I'm thinking about it, like I was just like under the assumption that everyone brought art with them to sell. And I think it was at a point where he could still like, you know, sell this stuff for like a couple $100, few $100.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember what I paid for it. It was definitely couldn't have been too much more than like $500 around that.
I mean, what's crazy is when you see like old, like I was I was I've been like slowly reading through all of Cerebus, and in the back he's selling like pages for like $40.
It's crazy. Like I told you by the time I went to the comic book convention and we bought all those Iron Man pages
Yeah.
for like next to nothing. It was
Yeah.
yeah, it's really weird. And it's also because like you think about it, like that's like a piece of art that like you're saying, like it feels weird buying something that's printed because you're like, this was just printed. But then when you're buying like something where you're like, no, this is like, you know, the hand of the artist touching this. They actually like made their impression
Yeah.
upon this. It was like, yeah, I can totally see that. You know, getting back into that if I ever had money.
Yeah, I don't know. I love hearing David Cho talk about collecting comic art. He tells really good stories about that kind of shit.
EO's fucked up a t-shirt design still, so
Mm,
never gonna get it from him though.
no.
I'm gonna sue him, Cameron style.
Yo, I love that lawsuit.
It's fucking awesome. I'm gonna
Very
like he's gonna
cool.
inspire me. I'm gonna sue David Cho now for not giving us a t-shirt design.
You think you could get me a Cold World Ed Templeton design?
I don't know. I don't like I don't know if I could I I'll hit him up and see.
No, no, no. Just kidding, just kidding.
I'm trying to think what other episode happened between oh yeah, the guy from Low, Alan from Low.
Oh yeah, low.
But
I
real
listened
Low
to that
fan?
one. I've tried so many times and they never clicked for me. I think they're sick and like obviously like like them and like Codeine. I think I like Codeine a little more, but I need to try more with Low because like, what I like about Low is they have some female vocals, which is always a plus for me. Just for some reason, I never gave them enough fair enough shake.
I loved them back in the '90s, and they've been a band that's like weirdly always been kind of like they're never always my favorite band, but I've always been a band I've been into. But I watched this documentary about them from 2006. It was a heavy ass
Oh
documentary.
yeah.
Holy jeez, yeah. And yeah, like I've always loved talking to people that have different experiences around the same thing. So like his experiences with Utah and punk
Hmm.
in Utah versus Stefan from the Descendants experiences with punk in Utah. I love that, like the
Yeah.
contrast and takes on it. But yeah, I can see why the Dawn episode was a little more up your alley.
Yeah, no, I like the low episode too, though. Don't get me wrong. He just like seemed super cool too. Like,
Super cool. Like I was like, what's he gonna be like? I'm like, and he's had a really rough couple years, like dealing with the loss of his partner and
yeah,
bandmate and everything, and just so I had no idea what to expect, but man, he loved talking about punk.
yeah,
Like I find that interesting is when people come on the show that I might not think of as being capital B punk, but their publicist keeps hitting Tristan up. And I'm like, I don't know, like, are they? And then they come on the show and they just love it so much and they just like really connect with it. It's always interesting to me.
yeah. Did you see the Jeff Buckley documentary?
I have not seen the Jeff Buckley documentary, but I've heard the Jeff Buckley Bad Brains cover.
Does he cover Bad Brains? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's like a tape of him covering them.
Hmm.
Brooke, who was on the show, who's his old roommate, she talked about it in her episode.
Oh, because I watched the trailer. I'm gonna watch it this week, but I watched the trailer and they like flash like record covers of like his influences and it shows Bad Brains. So okay.
Yeah, you like covered a Bad Brains song. I think you can hear it online somewhere. Like I
Hmm.
found it
I'll look
one
it up.
time.
I'll look it up.
But yeah, well, we will be talking in a couple weeks.
Hmm.
I got some cool episodes lined up. I think there'll be some jumping off points in these upcoming episodes. I promise you.
I believe you, and I mean, we always have shit to talk about anyway. I mean, we'll probably be talking about the blowback from my comments about the bracket.
Yeah, well, shout out to Hardlore and thank you for giving us the bracket to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the one thing I told Colin when I was talking to him about it, I was like, dude, it takes balls to put this list out, like shout out, like because people are, like I don't know that I would do it, but also, you know what? Also regarding the Dawn Devore, before I forget, shout out to Jim Winners,
Okay. And
love
Matt
Jim
Summers. And Matt
and
Summers
Matt
too.
Summers.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait,
man.
we should probably talk about these comments because the
Yeah, yeah.
comments there were more. Someone said hello, dear. Hello. Someone said thanks, guys. Someone said made MTV smashed. The UK gummies, the caterpillar ones are great. Those are all from Straight Edge Jesus. Rad to
The
both of
MTV show
those.
wasn't called Made; it was something else. This was before Made.
And then there's rad on both of those cards. Love it. I don't know what those relationship. We gotta be checking. I guess we gotta be checking this chat as it's coming.
Yeah,
Tower
yeah.
Records used to put alarms on the CDs
Okay.
from Christopher. So,
Yeah, I
all
would
right,
imagine.
everyone. I think that's it. If you want to get in touch with us, Woj, where do they get you?
They don't, but yeah, Wojavelli on Instagram and Wojavelli with a zero on SoundCloud.
Keep the comments coming, everyone. People also leave comments on random things. Like I'll get comments for this on like random reels that I put up. So direct the comments to this podcast. And thank you for listening. And hit stop on this first.